Here we are at Chapter 0, Lesson 4, Adding and Subtracting Rational Numbers. So we're going to start off with how you compare rational numbers. So we want to replace the blank with the less than, greater than, or equals to sign to make our sentence true. So we have 2/3 blank 5/6. So our first method that we could use to figure this out is writing our fractions with the same denominator. So our common denominator here, right, we want to find the least common denominator between 3 and 6. That is going to be 6. So for 2/3, how do I get 3 to equal 6? Times 2. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 2 times 2 is 4. And 5/6 is already there with our common denominator. 4/6 and 5/6. We need the less than sign. So we can go ahead and throw the less than sign into our equation. We could also write our fractions as decimals. So all you got to do there is punch it into the calculator. If I punch in 2 divided by 3, I get something that looks like 0.6666667. And we know when it rounds up like that, it means that it's just a repeating decimal on forever. So just 0.6666666. Then we type in, well, I guess we know we can just write 0.66666 as 0.6 with a line over the top because that 6 is repeating on forever. Then we know, or can type in 5 divided by 6, and that gets us 0.83333333334. Not even 4, just 3 repeating, sorry. So I can just write that with our 3 repeating there. And then I just compare 0.6 repeating and 0.83 repeating. 0.8 is definitely bigger. So once again, that less than sign fits in right there. So you can pick whichever method you like the best. This one, I could have even looked at it and known 2/3 equals 4/6 and just boom, solved it right away and not even wasted my time punching it into the calculator. So kind of use your common sense when working with these. Here we want to order rational numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert all of the fractions into decimals, and then we're going to put them in order. So I'm going to go find my good calculator here. If I can do that. Sorry for bugging you all with my noise. Here we go. And I'm just going to go 5 and 2/9. Well, great. I didn't even need a calculator for that because I know anything over 9 is just the number repeating itself. So 5.2 repeating. 5 and 3/8. So we know that whole number is 5. 3/8. Well, we know that is 3.75. I'm really glad I looked for my calculator, huh? 4.9 is already a number. And I want to be careful here and go -5. Don't forget, that's a negative. And 3/5 is the same thing as 0.6. So right away, I know that our negative number is the smallest. So -5.6. I know 4 is smaller than 5. So 4.9 fits in there. I know 0.2 is smaller than 3, and then 5.375. Then what I need to do is put these back into their original number. So -5.6 is -5 and 3/5. 4.9 is just straight up 4.9. 5.2 repeating is 5 and 2/9. And 5.375 is our 5 and 3/8. So when you put these in order, please, please, please make sure that they are in the original format. Now we're on to adding and subtracting like fractions. So when you have a like fraction, you add or subtract across the top, your numerators, and you keep the bottom the same, your denominator. So here, our denominator is fifths. It stays fifths. 3 plus 1 is 4. Our denominator is 16ths. It's 7 minus 1, so 6/16. Can I simplify that? Sure can. 3/8, because I divided both the top and the bottom by 2. Our denominator is 9. 4 minus 7. 4 minus 7. That's the same thing as 4 plus negative 7. The absolute value of negative 7 is bigger than 4, so our answer is going to be negative. Bigger number minus smaller number, 7 minus 4 is 3. So negative 3/9 is our answer there, and we can simplify that. 3 goes into both of their numbers, so what you do to the bottom, you do to the top, and we end up with negative 1/3. Making sense? Hope so. If not, raise your hand and I can come help you out. And then if we have unlike fractions, first step we need to do is get a common denominator. Then, same steps as you did when you had like fractions, because once we get that common denominator, they're going to be like fractions. So 2 and 3. What's the least common denominator that we can get? 6. So how do I get from 2 to 6? Times 3. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. How do I get from 3 to 6? Times 2. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 2 times 2 is 4. Then you keep the denominator the same. Add straight across. 3 plus 4 is 7. And then when you get to your assignments, it's going to want this in, I guess if it asks, it wants it in mixed number. So this is an improper fraction because the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So to get that into our mixed number, we take our numerator divided by the denominator. So 7 divided by 6, 6 goes into 7 one time. And then there's 1 left over. So 1 and 1/6 is what that one gets us. Go ahead and pause and try these next couple on your own and check in with what I get here. So 8 and 3 have a common denominator of 24, right? Because 8 times 3 gets us to 24. And we're subtracting. So how to get from 8 to 24? Times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Our denominator, 3 to 24 is times 8. So 1 times 8 is 8. 9 minus 8 gets us 1, and our denominator stays. So 1/24 is our answer there. And then finally here we have 2/5 minus 3/4. And our common denominator will then be 20ths, because we're just going to multiply these two numbers together, because that's the easy peasy cheesy way to do it, I guess. So 5 times 4 is 20, which you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 5 is 20. So then 3 times 5 is 15. Subtracting a number is the same as adding. It's negative. So negative 15 and 8, the larger absolute value of the two is our negative 15. So our answer is going to be negative. 15 minus 8 gets us 7. And then our denominator stays. And using absolute value to add rational numbers. So that's decimals, right? Same drill that we've been doing this whole time. A negative plus a negative is a bigger negative. So starting off adding our decimals, 0.6 and 0.12 get us 0.72. 8 plus 13 is 21. And it's a negative number because we had a negative plus a negative. Here we've got our fractions. Same deal that we've been doing. Get a common denominator. So our common denominator is 16. How do I get from 8 to 16? Times 2. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. We've got 7 plus negative 6 over 16. The greater absolute value of these two is 7, so our answer is going to be positive. 7 minus 6 is 1 and our denominator stays at 16. And finally, subtracting our decimals. A negative, or minus a negative, do you remember that? Minus a negative equals a positive. So this is telling us negative 32.25 minus negative, that means plus 42.4. Then same drill we've been doing. 42.4, negative 32.25. The 42.4 has a greater absolute value, so that's going to stick. Then we just take 42.4, the one with the greater absolute value, minus the one with the smaller absolute value. When I subtract here, this is 0. I'm going to borrow 5, 1, 0, 1. So 10.15 is the answer there. And you are off to go work on your assignment for this lesson.